Welcome, Michael, and thanks for hosting our session today.
Well, Tanya, thank you very much for the introduction. And I am one of the faculty in the School of Marketing, but somewhat ironically, my background really is much more in financial services, which I think makes me somewhat uniquely positioned to coordinate, as I do, the Marketing Financial Services program. So let me just give you a little bit of an overview of what the program is going to look like. My guess is, and my understanding is that some of you have already committed to the program. Some of you right now are considering. And of course, because there is going to be no intake in May, we do 2 intakes a year. The next possible intake would be September of this year. Typically what we've done in the past, and my understanding is this will continue into the future, is there will be an intake in September. There will be an intake in January. Now, starting with this September's intake, what you are going to be looking at is you're going to be looking at a 3-semester program where there are going to be 2 academic terms and 1 co-op term. And from this point forward, the way that it is going to be structured is that you are going to do your first academic term in the first of the 3 semesters, your second academic term in the second of the 3 semesters, and after having completed the educational portion of the overall certificate program, then you'll be doing in your last semester, that is semester 3 out of 3, you will be doing your co-op placement or your work placement. Now, this is a little bit of a departure from what we have done traditionally with the program. And I think that the change that we've made is really for your benefit to a tremendous extent. I'm going to explain why I think that from an employability perspective, this is just like an amazing improvement. It really came up from what happened with COVID-19. So if you can sort of recall the progression of COVID-19, it sort of hit the rest of the world. I believe it sort of was starting in China sometime late in December 2019, but really there weren't, I don't think, very many or even any cases outside of that until 2020, when of course it hit like somewhat like a tsunami. So at that point, we at George Brown College were running 2 different programs of marketing financial services. We had 1 cohort that had started in September of 2019. And we were having then 1 cohort that was starting in January of 2020. The cohort for the September start date, we're sort of okay in that we had done a lot of the co-op placements. Well, basically everybody was looking for a co-op placement, had sort of found it any time in like December of 2019 or January of 2019. So they were sort of okay. But what was very problematic was the cohort that was starting in January of 2020. The expectation at that time is that they were going to be going to their academic term, January through April 2020. Then we would be putting them into co-op May through August of 2020 before they would be returning to school. Well, everything basically shut down. I think it was around mid-March, and that really ended any hope of a co-op program. So what we did instead is we gave those students the opportunity to, rather than do academics, co-op, academics, and then co-op. And what we found is that this model works a great deal better. So if you're going to be entering the program or you're considering entering the program, whether you would be starting, say, in September of 2021, or maybe even considering maybe January of next year, January of 2022, you are going to be doing academic, and then the co-op / work placement, however you would like to phrase it, at the end. Now, just to give you a broad overview of this program, what you are going to be getting in is a great grounding in marketing with a little bit of an overlay in financial services. So there are going to be 12 credit courses that you're going to be taking all together. 10 of those 12 I would describe as almost pure marketing. And the reason why I would say that they're almost pure marketing is that a lot of the times what the instructors in those courses are going to be doing are going to be giving you particular assignments that would have very much like a financial services bent. So if one of the assignments, for example, was to do a marketing plan for an organization, well, what that instructor will assign would be a marketing plan for, let's say, a bank or an insurance company, as opposed to like a soft drink company or a fast food company. I think you can sort of understand what the distinction is right there. There are going to be 2 courses that are specifically oriented and focused on financial services. Those 2 courses are called Canadian Investments Part 1 and Canadian Investments Part 2. And what these two courses do is very much align the content and the learning outcome statements with the content that is in a course known as the Canadian Securities course. The Canadian Securities course, the name sort of gives it away, is a course that will instruct a practitioner really what they need to know about the securities industry in Canada, Canadian Securities course. So the vast amount of what you are going to be learning in this are going to be somewhat more broad, generic marketing skills. Once again, with the overlay in those classes leaning towards financial services. And then two of those classes are going to be, if I could sort of call them, somewhat hardcore financial planning, finance courses that is Canadian Investments Part 1 and Part 2. I do want to talk a little bit about what that change, what the co-op change is going to be looking like, and why this is such an exciting opportunity for students going forward. One of the difficulties that we've had with co-op in the past is in getting an employer to convince an employer to bring somebody on for several months with the understanding that after those several months, they're going to be leaving and coming back to school because there's just so much work, so much training that has to go into bringing somebody up to speed that, you know, you're training them for 2 months. Okay, great, you got 2 months worth of work out of them, but really you're only getting half the work when you sort of consider everything all in. Well, what we are thinking and what we are hoping is that because we're going to be putting the two academic terms back to back for the first 8 months, this is going to allow students really two very, very distinct type of co-op / work term opportunities. One is that many of you, and this is what my hope is, knock on wood, will actually get full-time employment in the financial services industry when you graduate, and you are going to be paid a full wage, just like you would be making if you were working full-time. Typically with the co-op opportunities, there is some kind of compensation, but look, I'm not going to lie to you, it has not been the type of compensation that you would get if you were working full-time. It's been a fraction of that. I would estimate that a reasonable starting salary expectation from this program when you would be starting would be in the neighborhood of, say, $3,000 to maybe $4,000 a month. I think somewhere in that range would be, for full-time work, would be reasonable and somewhat expected. And the co-op opportunities would be very lucky to pay you even, say, $1,000 a month. So you might be looking for the, it's really a number of hours, but it really comes out to almost 4 months of work. You might be looking at compensation of anywhere from a couple of $1,000 to $3,000. And that, by the way, that would be good paying co-op. Whereas under this new model, you could make well in excess of that. The other wonderful thing that this new model provides you is the opportunity to offer yourself to an employer at, for example, reduced wages for a couple of months while you are learning the ropes, with the hope or understanding that once you learn the ropes and you can actually deliver at full speed, then your salary will be moved up to that level. So I'm very excited about what the new co-op is going to look like. Now, there was one attendee who asked a question, and I'm not sure, Tanya, do the students, can they each see all of the questions and answers? Do they have access to that as well?
I'm not sure if they see the questions that are.
Okay, well, you know, then I'll just read the question out. It's short. So the question from an anonymous attendee: what is the procedure to complete the course if one does not get any co-op placement? That does not happen very frequently. If there would be a situation where somebody just couldn't get a co-op placement, then we would be looking to either assign like a special assignment, a special project. But to my knowledge, there has not been a single student ever in the history of this program. It's been around now for about 15 to 17 years who has failed to graduate because they failed to complete the co-op placement component where they finished all of the academics. So I really wouldn't worry about that very much. The other thing that I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and look, full disclosure here, I'm on right now on the advisory boards of a couple of different fintech startups. Those are financial technology startups. And basically what I've been told by the people I'm working with is they are looking for people over the next year or two to fill positions with them. And I can pretty much guarantee that you will get interviewed. And at that point, if you've got any skills to offer, and you've got the right attitude and everything else, I feel more confident, and by the way, I could not have said this a year ago, but I feel absolutely confident that there will be not only co-op placements, but really good co-op placements over the next several years. So for the anonymous attendee, I hope that I put your mind at rest. I'm going to do Sony's question, Darren, with your permission, just because it's really fast. The course code is B406, and I believe the formal name is Marketing Financial Services. Now, Darren had a couple of different questions. Do you have any recommendations before joining the program, like books, certificates, the Canadian Securities course? And Darren, what's the program favorable partner company regarding to co-op and job opportunities? More questions about co-op and job opportunities. Let me just talk about the book certificates first. Then I do want to talk about the co-op process, because I think that, now, by the way, with our new format, with the new way we're organizing co-op, it's going to give you the opportunity. It's going to give you the opportunity to get co-op opportunities in a way that we never did before. In terms of recommendations before joining the program, look, if you wanted to study the Canadian Securities course independently, that would be entirely up to you. It would not be a bad thing to come to the program having successfully completed the Canadian Securities course. You would still be taking the classes in Canadian investments, but presumably there would be very, very little work that would have to be done because you covered the content before. And now you've got the Canadian Securities course or the completion of it on your resume. And that would really differentiate you as a candidate when you're moving into the financial services industry. Now, for Darren and everybody, the way that the co-op program works is we have a co-op office at Georgetown College. And what it does is it passively accepts co-op opportunities that are being presented to it by companies. It also proactively reaches out to companies and tries to really educate those companies about the various programs that George Brown has and some of the skills that our students can bring to the table for that. So in terms of these partner companies, typically what most companies do is they will partner with a number of different institutions. So if, for example, we had a relationship with the TD Bank, it would not be an exclusive relationship. TD would be making those same offers to students at the other colleges like Seneca, Centennial, Humber, probably also having relationships with the universities like University of Toronto, York University, Queen's, etc. So there doesn't tend to be exclusivity in these relationships. So when it comes to things like favorable partner companies, we just don't, it's not the way that the model works. That is the model of unique relationships, which means when you are going for those co-op placements, you could be competing with other college students, other university students from around Ontario. So Sony, what is the time breakup, 2 academic and 1 co-op term? I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. So Sony, if I don't answer, please type a follow-up. Our semesters are 15 weeks long. So we have 7, and so an academic semester is 7 weeks. And then there's a week in between called intersession week, and then another 7 weeks. And there are 2 weeks between each semester. Now, of course, when you take 15 times 3, you're getting 15 times 3, you're getting 45. And then the 2 and the 2 and the 2 would be another 6. Well, of course, there's more than 51 weeks in the year, but there's sort of an extra added week for the break over the Christmas holidays. So that's how we sort of get to the 52 weeks in the year. So Sony, the basic model is 15-week semester, 2-week break, 15-week semester, 2-week break, 15-week semester, maybe a little more than a 2-week break over the Christmas holidays. Sony, does that answer your particular question about the time break? I certainly hope so. Justin is asking, how much are we prepared to take the CSE after finishing the program? And I feel very confident about this, Justin. You will be absolutely fully prepared to successfully write the Canadian Securities course, the licensing examination after finishing the program. That I can guarantee you that you will be 100% ready for it. And that would be what I would hope that most students would do. Now, my experience has been that when students register for this program, usually about 1/2 to 2/3 are really specifically interested in financial services. And maybe a third to one half, something like that, are more interested in a kind of more generic marketing program. So right now, for example, we have a student who's attending the B406 program, Marketing Financial Services, and he's already indicated to me that he's looking to join his father's business, which has nothing to do with financial services, but he believes, and I believe as well, that the kind of generic marketing skills that he's learning are going to really help propel that business forward.
One of the questions that's come up in some of the other sessions, Michael, that maybe you want to address for this one is regarding the types of assignments, tests, group work. What does the program kind of look like in terms of those types of things?
Well, there is quite a bit of group work or teamwork in this program. What the policy is that each instructor is going to be basically delivering or creating an evaluation model that instructor believes is going to most replicate either the challenge that they are going to be having in the workplace or the type of work environment they're going to have. Or in the case of, for example, there was a question about the Canadian Securities course, and Justin asked this about prepared to take the Canadian Securities course. I instruct and will probably be, if you're joining in September, almost certainly your instructor in Canadian investments. And the way that the Canadian Securities course is tested is with a multiple choice examination. So my evaluation system is 100% multiple choice tests. And the reason why I do this is because this is going to replicate what you were going to be looking at in the real world. Typically, if you're working in a marketing capacity, there are lots of group assignments, team assignments. So there's a real heavy weighting in those individual courses about doing things in a group or a team basis. But again, this is going to be it's going to vary very much on a course by course basis.
And there's another question that's just popped into the questions there.
Okay. Why don't I see it? The last one I see, Tanya, is how much we prepared.
I don't know, you might be seeing something different. So I'm
sorry. No, I know. It just came up. I'm sorry. What is the synergy between B406 and 407? And is it helpful to do them back to back? Very, very good question. So the B407 program is a certificate in financial planning. And what the B407 is really preparing students for, very, very specifically, is to work in a career where you are going to be a financial planner and you are going to be working on financial plans for individual investors. So if you, for example, go into a bank, really any bank in Canada, you're going to see there's a line of bank tellers or customer service representatives. Then you'll see people sort of sitting either behind them or in maybe sort of usually the sort of an open concept, sort of open glass or glass cubicles that will of course retain sound, but visually you can see through them. And those people are either financial planners or personal banking officers. And that is what the B407 program is preparing students for. There is direct overlap between two courses in B406 and 407, and that is Canadian Investments Part 1 and Canadian Investments Part 2. Otherwise, all of the other courses in B407 are designed to help students write successfully a licensing examination called the CFP, or Certified Financial Planner examination, whereas all of the courses in B406 are very much directed to improve your generic skills in the field of marketing. Now, Sony is an international student finishing B407 in fall of 2022. When could I start B406? Well, the first intake, Sony, for B406 would be January of 2022. So, Sony, if I read this correctly, I'm not sure I am. Well, let's put it this way, Sony. If you were finishing, when you say fall, if you're graduating in August, there would be an intake in September. If you would be graduating in December, there is an intake in January. So you could basically roll it over immediately. Justin, is our program relatable, supplementable with other programs, like digital media or business analytics? Suppose we wanted to pursue further studies. Justin, there's not a lot of overlap. There's a little bit, but not really a lot between either digital media or business analytics. And by the way, this is a good thing rather than a bad thing. And the reason why I say it's a good thing rather than a bad thing is what it would really mean is you would be just expanding your knowledge, just blowing it out if you did anything either with digital media or business analytics. I would say that there would be more of an overlap between the B406 content with business analytics, but I think that the business analytics would still be giving you like 75% to 80% of unique content.
Lots of great questions. Keep them coming. We're happy to answer more if you have them.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you addressed this already, Michael, but how many students are approximately in some of the classes?
Generally, the intake is generally around 50 to 60 students. And it's hard to sort of generalize. And the reason why it's a little bit harder to generalize is that I think that COVID and the inability of, in a lot of cases, international students to sort of physically attend classes live have impacted this past semester. So I believe that probably this past semester with the January intake I think it was probably the lightest enrollment that we've seen in a while. But I really think that the inability of students to come to Canada to study had a lot to do with it. But I believe that the classes, you would expect that the class size would be between 50 to 60 students. And the nice thing is you are going to all of the classes with all the same students. And why I really like that model is because you get to form real bonds, real relationships, which is great for when you graduate and when you move on to the real world.
Do you want to maybe also just address the fact that all the students get access to Office 365 and the Teams environment, so they get to kind of converse and chat with each other live that way?
That's definitely true. You definitely will have with media and look, students form WhatsApp groups and do all sorts of things. So all of the media, all of the sort of the more modern techniques of connecting, you'll be using them. I encourage students you can get a Zoom account for free to get into that habit and scheduling Zoom meetings and other using technology to the full extent possible. So Sony, would we have offline classes this September? Tanya, do you know when the final decision is being made? My understanding is that as of now, the classes will all be virtual for the September semester. I don't think that the 100% decision has been made at this point, but I believe it's like in the neighborhood of 99%. Tanya, do you have better insight into that?
I think you're right, Michael. There's been no firm date given in terms of when they will make that decision. However, all of the indications we have so far is that we're going to do our best to be kind of live and in person, but right now it's looking like we'll probably be virtual in the fall, just in terms of all of the indications we have at this point in time, especially for courses in the Center for Business. And some of our other programs, we're trying to run more of a hybrid model where students are coming to class to kind of take live classes where they're need to be, for example, in a welding lab or a medical facility. However, we think that this particular course, and again, the decision has not been finally made yet, but we believe it will be online at this point in time.
Yeah, a couple of students have reached out to me and I said, if this is going to be sort of seriously impacting your decision, I would be proceeding right now with the assumption that the classes are going to be online, definitely in September. I think, by the way, this is just sort of my hunch and my belief. I think it is more likely than not that in January we will be returning to in-live classes, but that is by no means 100% certain. I think it's more likely than not 100% certain.
And then there's another question that's come up here that says, if courses are online in September and January, are classes live or pre-recorded?
Yeah, they're all live, but then they would be recorded at the time. So what we will always do, Justin, is we will always be delivering unique content. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want to give students the opportunity that if they are attending, to interject with questions, conversations, interact with the instructor. And I don't want you as an instructor, I don't want you to hear what the questions were from the last cohort, because you don't know who these people are and you'll never interact with them, you'll never really meet them or anything like that. So what we will do is we will always have a fresh new class that everybody can join into. So you're all sort of studying within a group. But so they're not pre-recorded, the classes are live, and then they are recorded which is very, very convenient if, you miss something for whatever reason, or, time zone differences. We've had that with some of the international students.
All right, great questions, everyone. Is there any other questions for Michael before we close up the session?
Well, the last thing that I would just like to do, and can everyone see the chat bar, guys? Can everybody see the chat?
I don't believe they have access to the chat. They just have the Q&A access.
Okay, so can I do something on the Q&A, type something in the Q&A?
I think you can type it in the chat and they'll see it, but I don't
Okay,
think
all
they
right,
have
then.
access to the chat.
Okay, just 1 second. Just do me a favor. Tanya, can you see that I just typed in my email address and sent it?
I do not see that, no.
You don't see that? So I see under the anonymous attendee at 12:28, no? Under type answer?
I don't see it coming up in the chat.
It's not in the chat, it was in the question and answer.
I don't see it under open questions in the Q&A either.
I wonder, let me just, Justin said something at 12:27. Let me just see if it'll come up on that.
It might not come up because I've moved all those questions to answered, but if you're trying to share your email address.
That's what I'm doing, yes.
What if you could, we could type it onto a screen and then just share it that way. So here,
Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
let me do that.
Okay.
Let me do that for you. So what's your email? And I'll just.
Sure, it's M.
Yep.
HLINKA.
Yep.
And then at georgebrown.ca.
Okay, so let me just type that onto a screen here, and then I'll try to share my screen with everybody so they can write it down. All right, so are you seeing the the screen or no? I think it just glitched and went away. Okay, what about now?
Yes, I see it now. I think everybody should see it now. Yeah.
Okay, so
ladies and gentlemen, that's my my email address, and please feel free to email me. I would be more than happy, by the way, to set up individual Zoom meetings as well. I think it's really important. And by the way, I would say this about anybody in any education, guys, it is very important that before you commit really a year of your life, that you make a very informed decision about what programs you're going to take and what programs are right for you. And I think that I speak for everybody at George Brown College, that we would much rather proactively find the right program for you rather than reactively be half into it and you say, this is not what I wanted. I realize there's something else out there that is so much more aligned with my interest. Nobody wins when that happens. So feel free, please, to take this opportunity if you would like to learn a little bit more and maybe share a little bit more about your personal situation, what you're looking for, your career objectives, your life goals, all that kind of stuff. The offer is on the table.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Michael. There's just one extra question that's just come into the Q&A.
Great.
Sonia's just saying, just to clarify, my B407 course ends in April. Can I start B046 in May?
No, Sonia, there is no intake in May. So we have 2 intakes for the B406 program. The next possible intake would be September of this year.
Yeah, so we start September and January.
Yeah, so that one I know.
All right, well, fabulous. Well, on that note, just a big thank you to all of you for attending today and for all of your great questions. Feel free to reach out to Michael or any of the other supports at the college to get those questions answered. This is a big decision and we want you to be informed and make the right one. And a big thank you to Michael for running our session today. He's been a wonderful host, and he and I all look forward to seeing you at George Brown, hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah, hopefully in person sometime soon, but who knows when that will be.
Or we'll see you online. Either way is good.
Exactly, fair enough. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the weekend.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.